Hey everyone, and welcome back to the SCREENY. We all love us some Simpsons, don't we? While this cartoon is largely regarded as one of the most popular family cartoons out there, it's often riddled with adult themes. For such a long-running show, it's hard to see how some of these slipped by the censors. Do they want to traumatize children? Who knows, but at least it's entertaining. Join us as we take a look at 10 messed up Simpsons episodes that should have been censored. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing videos about your favorite movies and TV shows. Number 10. Treehouse of Horror 7.
Tomorrow, when you are sealed in the voting cubicle, vote for me, Senator Bob Dole.
Sure, the Treehouse of Horror episodes are there to scare things up and provide viewers with even more bizarre plot lines than usual, but that's not the point. They're still shown before the watershed, so you can bet your bottom dollar we're including them. This particular episode is pretty scary, especially for kids. Everyone's favorite aliens, Kang and Kodos, arrive to wreak some havoc, impersonating Bill Clinton and Bob Dole so they can win the 1996 presidential election. Kids probably don't understand the entire premise of the episode as it's so political, but that doesn't mean that it's not terrifying, especially when Homer tries to save the day and ends up making everything worse. No surprise there. As he tries to save Dole and Clinton, he accidentally kills them. Homie reveals Kang and Kodos' despicable plan to the world, but they're really not that bothered. They'll just vote for someone else instead. Is it the most messed up episode? No, but the political undertones and the culling of presidential candidates is enough to have raised a red flag. Number 9. Natural Born Kissers. This episode is downright lewd for a family cartoon, and kids should be swiftly ushered out of the room if it ever comes on. Seriously, how does Matt Groening and co. get away with these antics? Is no one watching them? Anyway, Homer and Marge are having some intimate marital issues in Season 9's Natural Born Kissers. We all know how much they like to snuggle, but this took things to a whole new level. Determined to get the spark back in their relationship, the pair decide to take things on the road, having their snuggles in very public places. Getting caught is everyone else's worst nightmare, but for a while, Marge and Homer seem to dig it, until they actually get caught and are forced to run out of a mini-golf venue, butt naked. Number 8. The Last Temptation of Homer.
We're gonna have sex.
Oh, well, we don't have to.
Yes, we do.
The title says it all, really, doesn't it? The Simpsons is well known for dealing with adult themes, but this one was a little close to the knuckle. In Season 5 of the show, Mr. Burns hires a woman to work at the power plant, Mindy Simmons. Homer is instantly taken with her, even though he knows it's wrong, and it looks like Mindy returns his affections. They've got a lot they can talk about, and the temptation is almost too much for Homer. Determined to be faithful to Marge, he decides to avoid Mindy at all costs. The plan works until a work function brings them together, sending them off to Capital City. After a few different things turn up the tension, Mindy and Homer end up kissing in a hotel room. Scandalous. Let's think about the connotations of this for a moment. If a kid watches this and then sees dad go on a work trip the following weekend, what are they going to think? It's a little too much too early if you ask us. Number 7. Homer's Night Out.
I don't usually laugh like this.
Homer's a man. We get it. He's actually supposed to be the stereotypical beer and sports-loving guy, so it's hardly surprising that he also likes strippers. In Homer's Night Out, Bart uses his new spy camera to capture incriminating pictures of his dad at a bachelor party. Marge inadvertently takes the kids to the same restaurant the party is at, not realizing that Homer is getting up to some serious hijinks in the private room. Bart hears the commotion when he's using the bathroom and takes some snaps after investigating and seeing Homer dancing with a stripper on a table. He then develops the photos at school, and although he doesn't initially want to share the pictures, he ends up giving a copy to Milhouse, and in no time at all, the photo is around the entire school. So that's Bart distributing adult material in his elementary school, and his parents' marriage almost destroyed as a result. Anyone else see the huge problem with this? Number 6. Dead Putting Society.
Knock it off!
Knock what off, Simpson?
You've been rubbing my nose in it since I got here. Your family is better than my family.
Cast your minds way back to when Maude was still alive in Season 2, way before Homer accidentally set up her untimely death. The feud between Homer and his neighbor Flanders has always been an important subplot to the series. Sometimes whole episodes are dedicated to their rivalry. In Dead Putting Society, Homer marches over to confront Flanders, accusing him of thinking he's better than his family. In fact, Homer agrees and goes off on one, saying that the house is better, Flanders' son is nicer, and that Maude's butt is nicer than Marge's. Sure, this is how Homer is, aka a bit of a sexist guy, but should that really be broadcasted to the masses? Conservative Flanders is clearly upset by the conversation and doesn't take it well. Frankly, the entire world could have done without that remark. It wouldn't happen in today's cartoons. Number 5. The Way We Was.
Marge, I would appreciate it if you didn't tell anybody about my busy hands.
We all know that Homer and Marge have been together since they were teens, but every now and then, the writers like to delve into their love story. It's been altered over the years, but in The Way We Was, Marge and Homer decide to tell their kids how they got together. Bart, Lisa, and Maggie listen obediently because the TV is broken, so what else are they gonna do about it? Marge explains that while Homer was instantly attracted to her, it took her a while to return his affections. The Simpsons matriarch explains that she went to prom with Artie Ziff, and we're shown exactly what went down afterward. Marge spurns the advances of Artie, who tries to get handsy with her without her consent in a parked car. They're surrounded by other parked vehicles full of teens making some very questionable moaning sounds. How is this okay for a cartoon? We just don't get it. Number 4. Homer vs. Lisa and the 8th Commandment.
Baby. Ay, caramba! Bart! Dad!
The Simpsons love watching the TV, much like every other family out there. Homer finds a way to get cable TV illegally so he doesn't have to pay for it, but Lisa isn't impressed. Marge doesn't seem to think it's a great idea either, but Bart seems to find it very intriguing indeed. Bart's the quintessential mischief maker, but we all know that at heart, he's a good kid. That doesn't mean that he's not a curious mind when it comes to certain adult relations. In one scene, the youngster is shown watching the television set in the dark. The noises emitting from the screen make it pretty clear that he's not watching an animal documentary, and luckily, Homer intervenes. He switches off the set and explains that only mommies and daddies who love each other very much are allowed to watch those kind of channels. We wonder how many parents had to explain that to their kids after watching this episode. Number 3. War of the Simpsons.
Homer, why are you here?
Oh, because I got drunk and looked down her dress.
No, Homer.
When Maude was still alive and kicking, writers played up the fact that she was physically attractive, despite being very prim and proper. It's also hinted to numerous times, like the entry previously, that Homer finds Ned's wife physically attractive. In War of the Simpsons, Marge wants to throw a party for her friends who constantly invites them to their own. Determined to make a success of it, she goes all out, but Homer is less than keen. Actually, that's a lie. He absolutely doesn't want to have friends over at all. He gets so wasted that he looks like a hot mess. At the snack table, when he's really acting like a full-blown idiot, Maude happens to also be there, so Homer asks her for some peanuts. The usually reserved neighbor is wearing a pretty low-cut dress, and Homer purposely asks her to rummage to the bottom of the bowl as he ogles her. We don't have to tell you what's wrong with that. You already know, and if you don't, shame on you! Number 2. Days of Future.
Just a little creeped out by that screensaver.
Nothing to worry about. He's been frozen like that for days.
This episode is more recent than some of the others we've discussed, as it comes from season 25, which was released in 2014. It just goes to show that there really is no stopping them. Set 30 years in the future, this episode is a real treat for fans, as it gives us a glimpse into what lies in store for the characters should they ever grow up. Homer is now just an image on a screen, as Professor Frink uploaded his consciousness after he died suddenly. Marge, now fed up with her husband, gives the flash drive containing Homer to Bart, who's living at an abandoned classroom at Springfield Elementary. Bart's life is spiraling out of control post-divorce, and he sleeps with one woman after another, including Lisa's former teacher, Miss Hoover. The two are pictured in bed after doing the deed, and that's when Bart says, "Now I know why they call you Miss Hoover." Come on, how is that allowed? Funny, yeah. Appropriate? No. Seymour Skinner would have been ashamed. Number 1. Grandpa versus Inadequacy.
Mom, Dad,
Don't turn on the light! Don't turn on the light!
There's so much adult relations in The Simpsons that it makes it difficult to understand how it's not viewed in the same light as Family Guy. Really, Family Guy isn't that much more risque. The Simpsons seem to get away with it by wrapping it up in hidden jokes, though. In Grandpa vs. Inadequacy, Homer rushes home to show Marge a good time. He gives the kids $50 and tells them to get out of the house before rushing his wife up the stairs. They're not going to play chess. Then we're shown suggestive images of trains going through tunnels and hot dogs falling on a factory line as the kids watch a big screen at the cinema. We all know what this was trying to get across. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content, and don't forget to check out one of the other 2 videos on your screen.